Right.
Okay, well, I guess I will start then. The movie I chose was The Field of Dreams. I really, really like this movie. Um, I really like dreamlike movies where you aren't really like sure what is real and what is not, because there's a lot of theories about this movie and about how it's like they could just be dead themselves, and just a lot of stuff like that. I like theories like that. But okay, to the second slide. Where did the idea for this movie come from? Um, excuse me. The Field of Dreams was based on a 1982 novel called Shoeless Joe by a Canadian author, which was itself based on a true story of the White Sox outfielder Shoeless Joe Jackson, who died in 1951. So this isn't like a completely made up story. And I feel like that has a lot of influence to the way that the movie feels to us, because like if things are completely out of the ordinary, it's a lot easier to realize that it's fake. But if there are aspects like in this movie where a lot of things that are actually true to real life are incorporated, and they're just small changes that make it unrealistic, it makes us feel like we can be a part of the movie more, which I think is good. Film synopsis, like basic summary, is you guys probably don't need this, but it's a movie about an Iowa farmer, Ray, and he starts hearing mysterious voices in his cornfield that say, if you build it, he will come. He feels the need to act on this and has no reason behind it, but a lot of people think he is crazy, except for his wife, who stays with him and supports him along the way. And I actually think that is a really good aspect of this movie, because with a lot of movies like this, like, or just a lot of movies in general, you have to have like this sort of villain character. And there was like Annie's brother, who was kind of a villain, but also not. Like, there was no like real bad things that happened in this movie. And I think that is I think that's refreshing. But Ray learns that this field is not just about bringing those baseball players out, and it is for a greater purpose to reunite with his dad at the end, I'm pretty sure. Here's the cast. It's not all of them, obviously, because there's a big cast, a lot of baseball players and stuff. But these are like the main ones I would consider. First we have Kevin Costner, who plays Ray. Then we have Amy Madigan, who plays Annie, and Gabby Hoffman, who plays Karen, a little girl, and Ray Liotta, I think that's how you say it, who plays Shoeless Joe, and Timmy Busfield, who plays Mark, and James Earl Jones, who plays Terrence. Where they are now. Kevin Costner went on after this movie to star in acclaimed films like Dances with Wolves, JFK, where he played JFK, Wyatt Earp, and 3,000 Miles to Graceland. And more recently, he has played Clark Kent's dad in Man of Steel and appeared in the TV series Hatfields and McCoys, which I thought was really cool because, around here. But this year, he can be seen in several films like Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit, and 3 Days to Kill and Draft Day. He did also play in Yellowstone, which I'm not really familiar with. Has anyone like watched Yellowstone? You know what it's about?
Nope.
Is it a documentary?
I'm not sure. I think it's like a movie with him in it, but I don't know if it's a documentary or not. But whatever. Next we have Amy Madigan, who played Annie. And after this film, she went on to appear in The Dark Half, Pollock, The Laramie Project, and Gone Baby Gone. And she was also in Grey's Anatomy a few times, I'm pretty sure, which I didn't know that. But more recently, she has been in The Lifeguard and Sweet Vengeance. Next, we have Earl Ray Jones, who went on after this movie to appear in more baseball films, The Sandlot and Patriot Games, The Hunt for Red October, and he played Mufasa in Disney's The Lion King.
He was also Darth Vader.
Oh, really? That's crazy. I didn't know that, but
plus he's in the movie Mate One.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. No, I didn't put that together because I did watch that, but guess I didn't remember. But he does have a very familiar voice, I'd say. A good voice actor. Next, we have Ray Liotta, or Liotta. Not really sure how to say that, but he played the character of Shoeless Joe Jackson. And since then, he has appeared in films like Karina, Copland, Blow, Narc, Identity, Smokin' Aces, and many more. He does tend to take on more dark roles for some reason. I guess he's just better at things like that. But he is best known for playing Henry Hill in Goodfellas. And last one is just more recent, like the last few slides were where the characters are now, and this is more like where the field is now and how society is viewing that setting, that movie set, and how it's still being used. But this year, actually, they scheduled a game. Well, they scheduled the first game in 2020, but it did not work because of the pandemic. So this year, they excuse me. This year in 2020 in August, they had a game in Iowa in the same town, and it was called the Field of Dreams game, but it was not on the actual field. And I think they made a whole other field in this town for the MLB game, because I did research like why they didn't use the field, and they kind of just said because it wasn't up to requirements and because a lot of balls would be lost in the cornfields. But that is what is happening with the set right now. People go and still see the actual field, and it is still up in Iowa, and it's a main tourist attraction. But that is about all I can think of besides hearing your guys' comments on the actual movie and how it affected you and things like that.
Yeah, so you got discussion questions too for us, don't you, Myra? You sent them to
Oh,
me.
yeah, I did, but would you want me to bring those up?
Yeah.
Okay. Here, just a second. I'm gonna stop that.
Did any of you guys see the Field of Dreams game earlier back in August?
I watched the highlights from it.
It was pretty cool. It was a fun event. Kevin Costner gave a speech. The Yankees played the White Sox, and they played in these old like 1920s style uniforms. It was pretty cool. While she's doing that, we can just talk about some general impressions and whatnot if you want of the film.
Here are the questions.
There you go.
Number one, I have what did you guys think of Annie's brother throughout the movie? And do you think if you were in his place, you would have believed them?
No. Not now.
I also I don't know if I would. I mean, you'd think when you watch these kind of movies, like you would be different and you'd believe them or whatever, because like they make these people out to be the bad guys. But in reality, like if this happened in reality, would you actually believe them? Like, I don't know if I would.
Yeah, this question raises another question, right? Like the outlandish nature of this movie's plot, right? It's pretty far out and spacey, right? I don't know if anyone would believe this. Right, if you were logical and grounded in the world. So
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like whenever I answered the question about it, because this movie really has you suspend your suspension of disbelief for the entirety of the movie. Because first of all, hearing voices is just a sign of schizophrenia to begin with. So it's he just seems crazy from an outside perspective. But one thing I will give this movie is the fact that he is doing all this and building, everything for these voices that he hears, and his wife is just like, all right, cool, let's go with it. That's some loyalty and dedication right there. That's rare. Because I know for me, I wouldn't stick around. Nor would I be like, I'm gonna help you build a ballpark for these dead people. Absolutely not.
Man, I'll tell you what really bothered me is like not bothered me, but just the little scene where Dr. Moon, is it Moonlight? I can't remember.
Moonlight Graham.
Yeah, Moonlight Graham. That one scene where he steps out of the line and he turns into the doctor, and like I understand it was supposed to be like a scene that like gives you chills, like, oh, OMG, he's coming to save her, he's sacrificing his chance to play ball. But like I feel like it was just so it should have been more like it should have been a cooler scene because he stepped out and it was so dramatic and everything, and then he literally just hit her back. Like anyone could have done that, you know?
I mean,
How was she?
for me personally, I didn't get the whole plot of this film. Like, oh, dead players want to play baseball again, so let's build this for them to come play and have this good baseball field for them and real players so they can witness and experience again. Why? I'm not a sports person, so I don't understand that. But I know for a fact that I'm a gamer. I would not be coming back from the dead for no game. Like, I just did like, and that's a problem that I have with this movie is you have to have such a suspension of disbelief that it's like any realism doesn't matter, and there's no point in even thinking of it logically because you have to think of this movie basically like a magic movie is what it feels like because you can't enjoy the movie otherwise because the plot literally depends on you not having any logical thinking. And I think that's such a lazy thing for a movie to coast on. It's like, viewer interpretation of the movie has to be, very low in order for the movie to be enjoyable.
I liked it. It took me back to my childhood. I liked rewatching it just because I guess back then it gave me happy thoughts and I was in a good mood. So it put me in a good mood just to watch it because it's not real. But back then when I was little, of course, a child thinks maybe it is possible, But now that I'm older, it's not possible. But
I liked it a lot, actually. Like the whole, I get the plot was the whole cliche son doesn't forgive father, and then father comes back from the dead and needs to forgive him. But the way they done it was special. It was kind of nostalgic to see. Because, especially if you played baseball when you were younger. So, obviously it draws you to it. It kind of brings you like to that childish mindset. And I don't know, I just think it's a good story.
Yeah, I agree with Kyle. I've always had a soft spot for this movie. I've always really liked like the magical aspect of it. It's a nice break from realism, I think. Yeah. So it almost feels like I think it's movie magic in a way. The fact that it doesn't make sense, I think, is what's cool about it.
Yeah.
Part of one of the reasons why I like the film is some of these performances in this movie were pretty good. I've always really enjoyed Kevin Costner as an actor. He plays in a lot of a lot of westerns. One of his other great movies was The Untouchables, a great mafia movie. So yeah, I've always been a big fan of his.
Yeah, I'm glad that you say that now because I thought I recognized him from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was in Al Capone. It was the Al Capone movie.
But yeah, the acting in this movie was phenomenal. But I guess I'm just not like I don't know. I didn't connect with it as much because I'm not a sports person and like. I don't know. There's just a disconnect from me from enjoying this movie, I suppose.
Yeah, this
Same with
movie.
me. Same with me a tiny bit, but I didn't really understand. Like, I enjoy sports. Like sometimes it's fine. Like it's good. I don't know, but I don't see how it could be like something to come back from the dead for. No, like not really. because like they make it this thing about, well, it unites like you and your family, it brings you closer, like putting bigger meanings behind baseball and stuff. But like how they just came back to play, I don't know. It just like no one's really watching. Like now that they're dead, like they came back just to play with each other. And I feel like if they were in like heaven or whatever together before they came to the field, I don't feel like there's a use. Like, I don't know. It just raises a lot of questions because, like, can you not play baseball in heaven?
No, they'll break God's house's windows.
Is
Uh,
is Iowa heaven, right?
but yeah, this movie is good in its own right, and it has a lot of good acting. And I particularly liked a lot of shots because, up until now, we've not got a lot of like massive fielding shots like they do in this movie, because obviously there are scenes where we have to see the whole field at once because something's happening. And we haven't really had a chance to have that because every movie we've had so far has been, very close up and not dramatic, but it's not been as on a scale as this, because you have to think about how big a baseball field and stuff like that is. So it was very interesting to see how they shot this movie on top of having to develop the plot and then the rest of it. But for me, I definitely agree that baseball isn't something worth coming back for. But I think this is also having to do with like, which is what my paper's going to be back on, is like American idealism. And, baseball is literally called America's pastime. It has been for the last 58 years. And I think movies like this try to heavily reinforce that idea. Like, look, it's so good that, people are coming back for the dead for it, and I just think that this movie very much goes along with that and has propagated like the baseball culture. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it definitely goes to show that there is still a big love for it.
Yeah, James Earl Jones's speech pretty close to the end of the movie reinforces that, Will. Like he pretty much gives this speech like baseball, right?
Yeah.
Baseball like unites us, right? Like it's a unifying force. No matter what the time is, no matter what we're going through as a country or something, right? There's always baseball. So that he kind of gave that speech at the end.
I feel like it's a good theory that he was just dead, like he was in heaven the whole time, because I feel like that would explain why his family was just going along with everything so nicely and supporting him and whatever. And then the fact that I feel like it could not be about baseball at all. I feel like maybe it's just about him fulfilling his dreams, and it had to do with baseball. And the big thing that was holding him back maybe was the fact that he said that to his dad. And I feel like maybe the voice or whatever made that happen and helped him like heal, I guess.
I would have to say that this movie is reminiscent of Angels in the Outfield. I don't know if anybody that here has ever seen it, but
Long time ago.
Yes.
yeah. But I think the reason I bring that up is because what Myra said was interesting, because that voice seems like some sort of entity that is trying to make this revelation happen. And as extreme as it is, of building a stadium for dead players and stuff like that, that's an extreme, arduous undertaking. And this voice, I feel like, is trying to give him this revelation and this closure with his, with his past that he didn't have. And I think that's real, like, I feel like the stadium is a plot device for his story.
Mm-hmm. And like it makes you think like what makes him more special than anyone else who doesn't have closure with like their dad or something like that. Like why would all of this stuff happen to specifically him? Like if I'm honest, it doesn't feel like he's like deserving. He just feels like an average guy. I mean, like I don't know.
I'll tell you why. Cause baseball, yeah, get a home run.
You do not like base sports, do you?
I've never gotten the hype around them. I really don't. But honestly, you can't tell me I'm wrong, because this is what this movie's about. It's like, go baseball. It'll fix all of our emotional problems and problems that we just have in the real world that we can't solve normally. So let's just baseball. Yeah, go Mets, get a home run.
America's passed on for a reason.
Well, you're going to have kids, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to be athletic children, and you're going to hate it.
Kids.
Well, one day you might adopt or something and watch them be athletic.
Well, I don't think I would posit like the movie isn't necessarily wrong about that, right? If you get some of y'all were just little kids when 9/11 happened, right? You know, I was I was almost in high school at that point. But Jessica, you might back me up on this one.
Yeah.
But after 9/11, right, baseball really did help like bring everyone together again, right?
Yeah.
You know, like that World Series that year was big because New York was in it.
Yeah.
They lost, but they were in it. But
and they all come out to support New York. Yeah, it did, kind of, in a way, bring New York back together. Well, it did, yeah. You're right. I remember that. Yeah, I sure do.
Yeah, George W. Bush threw out the first pitch.
Yes.
Remember, he threw a straw. He pretty much threw like a strike right down the middle of the plate.
Yes. Yeah.
That was like the best moment of his entire presidency right there. But,
He looked goofy though, doing it.
That moment definitely did kind of unify people.
What about question 2? What did you guys think of the setting of the movie and how it like influenced the entire story and everything?
Well, the Iowa like farmlands type thing, right? You know, so much about the American dream and whatnot has always consisted of farming. Right? If you go back to even like Thomas Jefferson's vision of America, right? He thought that America would be a country full of small farmers. Like he thought that small farmers were the salt of the earth almost. So you can kind of go and make your own farm and live a good life. So I think that probably has a little something to do with it. Like being a farmer has always been kind of like romanticized a lot in America. I don't know if anybody wants to add on to that, but
I will. I do feel like there is a lot in this movie that they did romanticize, but I feel like the setting in general was not picturesque, but very like solemn. Like, because, you know, we think of Iowa and, you know, we just think of corn and fields or whatever. But, you know, to some people, that's their modernia. You know, that's their you know, utopia is like to be out in a, you know, nice field with very long miles stretching of corn. You know, for some people that's like just relaxing and calming. And, you know, that's a lot of what most of our country is like, from the Midwest to to the East Coast. It's nothing but flat farmland, and it's not the most pretty thing, but to a lot of people, that's their ideal picturesque place to be. And I think that along with our story here really just combine very well, because if you want to build a stadium in the middle of a cornfield, I mean, I'm sure there's still going to be more corn afterwards, just because there's so much land out there that's undeveloped. So I feel like this was a perfect place to do this at.
Yeah.
And just having this calming area, and especially like for older people, older people love to be out by themselves and just have their own land and be chill. So I feel like this is really reminiscent of what his life was probably like whenever his dad was still alive. So I think this place was very perfect for the revelation of his life and building the field, and getting to reconnect with his father and resolving his past issues.
My grandmother lived out in Illinois, and the first time I went to visit, I was like, she was showing me around, and I was like, all right, let me see your backyard. Well, I go out, and she's got a nice sized deck, and then she's got about 10 feet of grass, and the rest is legit straight corn, just corn, like scary, so much corn. Like it would be scary to be out there at night and get lost in it. It's a lot of corn that I see. I don't know. I think it'd be scary to live around that much corn.
I would agree.
Yeah. People
Yeah.
popping out on you and stuff. Lord have mercy. No.
Yeah, that's a lifestyle that we're not too accustomed to here in West Virginia, right? Because West Virginia has
No.
never been a farming state. So,
Number 3, in one of the last scenes, Ray is talking to his dad about heaven. Do you think this hints to a type of twist that I was talking about like him being in heaven in the first place and not knowing it, or just something like that?
I guess it could. Yeah.
Because he was like, is there a heaven? And I'm pretty sure his dad was like, yes, it's where dreams come true, or something like that, right? So, and then that's when he was like, well, maybe I am in heaven. So that kind of just made me think. I was like, maybe you are.
No, son, this baseball field is a portal to hell. I needed to free me.
Maybe America, small town America is heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's very true, and I mean just look at our own state. Our slogan is literally, close to heaven, West Virginia, and I personally disagree, but people think of like small towns and just simpler lives as easy as heaven, and I think this movie has a lot of those qualities. So for his father to think that out in the middle of Iowa, oh, this place is like a little slice of heaven for him, and that's why he can visit him. I think that's a very interesting concept for this movie.
Yeah, you guys got to keep in mind this movie came out in the 80s. The 80s was a time of like there was increased levels of patriotism and like American pride and stuff like that, right? Whether you love or hate Ronald Reagan, right? He did kind of bring that sort of optimistic spirit back to America that it had lost in the 1970s. So so the fact that a movie like this even exists, right? It kind of like this movie would not have come out in the 70s. Right? The 70s was too pessimistic of a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's too much turmoil in the 70s for this movie.
And it had a lot of like it included
Didn't like
the 70s.
E.T. and stuff come out in the 80s?
Yeah,
Like movies like that? Yeah.
yeah.
Sci-fi movies. Are those sci-fi?
Yeah, E.T. sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very famously, John Carpenter's The Thing came out the same time as E.T. Right, so nobody wanted to watch a movie about aliens in the world, right? You know, they were all about the cute alien, right? Family fun. But yeah, I mean, we don't even really see a lot of like very wholesome movies like this even now, right? Unless you're like watching the Hallmark Channel or something, right? You know, you don't really see a lot of mainstream movies even now that are like wholesome in this kind of way.
No, not at all.
What do you guys think of Terrence Mann? Like, where did he go? I have no idea. I was just thinking the whole time that was happening, like he was walking off the field into the corn or whatever. I was like, are you guys not gonna even ask, like, am I gonna die if I walk in there? Like he didn't even care. He just went with it.
Yeah, Ray gets very angry in that scene, right? He's like, why him? Why
Yeah.
not me?
And I thought that was a little silly too, because like his whole family was back there and he didn't know what was out there. And he's just like, why do I not get to go and basically die? Like, what?
Oh, do they die when they go back? What do you?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
where the baseball players came from was like heaven or whatever, right?
Yeah, my interpretation of this is like this whole character is about like he was once an optimistic guy back in the 60s, right? But he's been kind of like disillusioned over time. Like, so I think in a way, like this whole going back to your childhood type of thing, that's probably his going in the cornfield kind of resolves his arc in that way. Because he starts out as this bitter old man. Like, his heart's kind of softened through the movie. So I don't know if am I making sense here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it would be fair to say that the corn is literally the resolution point of our story. Like that is the thing that is the catalyst for that, because our baseball field and the characters within it are, those are the developing climax and how they change people. And then eventually the corn is essentially their release of their soul. Like, I'm satisfied, I can go back. It's kind of like, with a ghost, if they're haunting something, it's because they've got unfinished business. But, if they're able to change and get better, they maybe get out of this purgatory that they were in and get to go to wherever they're destined to go. Now that they finally resolved what they needed to work out.
What do you guys think of all of those cars at like the last scene? Like, what do you think? Is it basically just saying like none of those people have free will, or was there like one set reason for every single person? They were just like, go to Iowa, go to Iowa. Like the same voice that was introduced to Ray. Do you think that's what drove them? Or do you think there were just like millions of coincidences that drove people to want to go to Iowa? I don't know. I think it's a very interesting thing to think about.
I think this is conspiracy obviously, but I think what happened was Terrence Mann. I don't think that was like instantly they all came. I think it was more of like an overtime thing. And the Terrence Mann went and wrote the article. He said he was going to write about it, and then people came to check it out.
Oh, yeah. That is a good point.
Yeah, the movie has this is one thing I don't like about the movie. I love the movie, but this is one part of it I don't really like about it. Like it insinuates like if you follow your dreams, right, you can make money and profit off of it.
Mhm.
Right. So that's a very I just don't like that kind of message. But it's this idea of the American dream, right? Work hard and life will work out, right?
Yeah.
So in some ways that's a true, and in some ways that's a myth. So yeah, like it kind of takes away from like the magical like baseball part of it, right? Just by saying, "Oh, hey, if you do this crazy thing, right, you might make some money," right? That seems a little sleazy to me. I don't know. What do you think about that, Will?
Well, I mean, like I've said before, I forgot what movie we were doing, but I mentioned that, I'm a personal believer in that, America used to be about giving everyone a chance and, you could actually prosper here, but it's just evolved into, capitalist exploitation of people in order to make profit. And I've said before, I think it's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. You know, but I think this movie has the problem that every movie released from 1979 to 1993 has, and that's over proud Americanism is so much of America's culture relies heavily on media because media and movies in general have influenced us wholeheartedly. Like there's not a place you can look that hasn't been influenced by a movie, a TV show, or like just people in the media that are popular. You have whole restaurants that are dedicated to Hollywood celebrities, like Planet Hollywood, or just stuff like that. But I think it really has that issue of like American consumptionism. It's like all these movies from the 1973 to 1993 are very American, very pro-capitalist, very gotta make a dollar, and we have a ton of movies like that. We even had one recently in the past couple of years, The Wolf of Wall Street. I think a lot of movies suffer from that Americanism of it. Not that there's anything. Well, I mean, there's a lot wrong with America, but not like we can fix it. But I just think that these movies try to sell you on this thing that so many people have been, hook, line, and sinkered for, and have paid the price for that.
I was going to say, Wolf of Wall Street seems more critical of that. Like it's more so than endorsing it. That's how I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why I was saying more recently, it's a good example of it. Like it really doesn't exonerate it. It doesn't show it in a good light. And that's what I liked about Wolf of Wall Street. But just for such a long time, we've had movies like just put America on a golden pedestal, and even in our older movies, like our spaghetti, not our spaghetti westerns, but our westerns, uh, they romanticize the West and Western expansion and stuff like that. And it just seems like almost every movie that came out for decades was nothing but America's the greatest, and I think a lot of movies suffer from that because we watch them now and we know that it's like, there are a lot of problems that nobody's fixing. And I think we have to look at this movie critically because there are tons of movies that do this, that just idealize the American way and dream. And I think this is one of those movies that is a perfect example of it.
I agree with that, and I also don't really understand how people can even fall for like that American dream type of viewpoint, because like if you look at just how this movie is set up and just other movies similar to this one where people go to America and they just absolutely like prosper, or they work so hard and get their stuff together and it works out for them and everything. But if every single person thought that they were going to do that, and if every single person could do that, it would not be realistic. It wouldn't be possible, because for someone to prosper like how he is in this movie, by getting all those cars to come down there and give him money and stuff, like if he's able to prosper in this way, then no one else is. What about all those people who are coming there for no reason to give him money? And it's not really fair in that sense, and it's kind of a moral dilemma there that no one really thinks about, because those people are just as deserving of that experience and stuff like as he is. And if everyone prospered like how people plan to in America, then there wouldn't be like a system. This is not how it works.
Yeah. And I totally agree too with Mike. I know this is anecdotal as all get out, but I have several friends who are Syrian refugees who could have chosen to go to either England or here, and they chose here because they have always been shown like Western media, like, oh, the American dream, the way. And my cousin Abara, she came here, and she's in her late 20s and she's working, and she just her whole family suffers because they've tried and worked for ever now, and they just can't get anywhere. They can't get ahead in life. And I think a lot of people see the American dream and it's like, I can get that done with hard work and a little bit of elbow grease. And then the system just takes advantage of you and your family. Like you're putting your time into something. Like even my stepdad, like he breaks his back every single day, and he barely scrapes enough by to get us through a week. And it's just constantly like this. We live paycheck to paycheck, as does 50% of America does. And that's just sucky. For the 20% of people that can make a good life for themselves here, from rags to riches, good for them. But for the majority of us that haven't or can't because of just the system that is in place to keep us down, I think it's really just a system that has to take advantage of people in order for it to work. Like right now we're in late stage capitalism, and within the next 20 30 years our system is going to collapse because it's not sustainable. I mean, look at even now, We have so many businesses that can't operate and can't run because people are refusing to waste their time on, corporations and, places that don't care about them, that aren't paying them a wage to live off of. But I'm glad that people are finally realizing that their time, their energy, and their body is precious, because those are expended resources that you don't get back. You don't get your, 50 hours a week back. You don't get your you don't get your broken, dislocated disc back from from working so hard. You don't get your life back from working. So the least they could do is pay you enough to put food on your table and not have to worry about your bills. But a lot don't. And I think, especially these older movies, I can be really critical of because I've just suffered, me personally, I've just suffered so much from this system because I've never had money in my life, not once. I've always been below the poverty line or at it. And I think that's a problem that a lot of people suffer. And back to what you were saying, Mr. Yeager, earlier, I think it's the reason that we don't have these wholesome movies anymore is because people have realized that there's nothing wholesome about the way that we live. It's simply a system that takes advantage of us.
Facts.
Yeah, I think you all are starting to sound like a bunch of dirty socialists. It's just my opinion.
No, not me. The last question I have is just about lighting and music and stuff. I didn't really notice a lot of music in this movie. What do you guys think about that?
I don't know. There's a really heavy score here. It really plays the emotional music right when it needs to.
Mm-hmm.
When they're playing catch at the end, right? It hits you in the feels with the emotional music. Desmond, you said this movie was a tearjerker, right?
Yeah, it's a bit sentimental, for my taste.
Fun fact about the lighting, scenery, stuff like that. The scene where Shoeless Joe?
Mhm.
Sorry, I have such a bad memory. But where he first shows up on the farm and Karen is like, Dad, there's a man out on the lawn. That scene actually wasn't special effects with the fog in the back or whatever. It was just completely natural, and it was already foggy and really mysterious, and they kind of just took advantage of that.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
I just think there's a lot of questions to still be asked about this movie. So many. The ones mostly when I watch movies like this about ghosts and just people who are not here anymore or whatever, and they come back. Like what is the extent of their emotions and their needs and their humanness? Do they still have to eat? Do they? Because I did notice I think one of them was chewing gum or something. So I don't know. It just made me think: do they still have to eat and drink? And how long can they play baseball before they get tired, or will they just not get tired because they're ghosts? I don't know.
Being a bit of an expert on ghosts because it's supernatural. No. But, it's very interesting when you deal with ghosts and things especially because these ghosts were probably in limbo or purgatory, whichever you want to say. But I think it's very interesting what are the criteria to satisfy like a restless spirit. Because, you know, in Supernatural, if they were a harmless spirit, they would, you know, help them satisfy whatever their finished business is on Earth, and then they can leave. But if they're like, you know, a dangerous spirit and they're hurting people, you know, they go and burn their bones in their grave. But I just think it's very interesting to think about, you know, what was the criteria, what was the, you know, catalyst for them being able to pass on from, you know, whatever they're in limbo, you know, and it's different for every one of them, you know, it feels like, because, you know, we have different scenes where people go at different times, and I just think it's interesting. Like, one guy's might be finally getting that really good home run, or, you know, one of them might being, just a really good catch, if we're going baseball wise. But I think it's just very interesting in this movie in particular to see what is your criteria to pass on to the other world because you were unsatisfied in life.
Moonlight Graham only got to play half an inning and didn't do anything. Right?
Yeah, and he was a really good guy, wasn't he? There's just kind of like I feel like it just does not make sense morally at all unless Ray is dead and he is in heaven. Because how could it be fair that this guy gets treated specially and gets his dreams fulfilled so magically and stuff, and then there are thousands upon thousands of people mindlessly coming to the place he's at just to fulfill his dream. And I feel like if this were because of a higher good power or something, that would not be right to me. I don't know. Why does he deserve all that mindlessness of thousands of people who probably didn't do anything to deserve that? Why do they deserve to get their free will taken away in a bit? I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely agree that there was a little bit of spiritual favoritism here, but like you said, it would make a lot of sense if he was dead, because everybody gets their personal heaven, and I think this was what that was. I think it was more of him being dead and getting to live his his actual heaven out, rather than being alive, because this movie has such a suspension of disbelief for him to be alive. Because I can tell you, for one, I don't know anybody in their right mind that would trek out to Iowa, of all places, to go watch some baseball.
Well, thousands of people did.
They done it.
I couldn't imagine. Hey, where you going for summer vacation? Iowa to touch some corn. Oh, all right.
Well, a lot of people that's something we don't really understand around here, but a lot of people in the big cities do have this yearning for a more simple rural lifestyle.
Yeah, I definitely understand that, because I'm from Gilbert and I don't understand how people come there nationally for Trail Fest. I cannot understand it, because so many people come, and there's so many license plates I see that are from New York, Maryland, Minnesota, Maine, just everywhere. And I'm just why are you coming here?
See, the only time I've ever experienced that in mass to a place is Myrtle Beach, because Myrtle Beach used to just be people from West Virginia, Kentucky, and that surrounding area to go to. But I've seen people from Georgia, Maryland, Mississippi down there before, and I'm like, this is interesting that you're here, considering how unknown it is. But I guess the murderers and stuff there made that place popular. I don't know if anybody's heard about that.
And all the girls getting abducted down there. There's a lot of abductions that happens down that way. I didn't know that it wasn't a known beach. I thought it was like a East Coast one of the main beaches on the East Coast.
It hadn't been for a long time, and then it got popular for whatever reason. But it's just interesting.
Dirty
to
Myrtle.
see.
Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, it's just interesting to see what places people are willing to go to for things that they enjoy. Like
even stuff like the national parks, right? That's part of like why people love to go to places like Yosemite or Yellowstone, right? Because they want to escape their daily.
Grand Canyon and stuff. Like, that's weird, but people like to go and look down in big holes in the earth.
there. I mean, yeah. I would like to go to one of those national parks, but I'd be so scared that I'm going to end up as a number on a wall because so many people a year go missing in those parks, and it's scary.
Yeah, I've heard about that. That is weird. I hope I taught today's class all right.
Yeah, you did good. You did good.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah. This I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I feel like this class has gotten way better as it's gone on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah, we're in a
I
good
feel,
groove.
like the first couple weeks we were very, like I know I'm a blabbermouth, and I apologize for that, but I just feel like we've gotten a lot more comfortable as the weeks have gone on.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah, it took you guys a couple of weeks to warm up, but once you did, everything's been smooth sailing. So
It is a fun class
Mhm.
when you do it this way and you make it fun. Yeah.
I have a good time here.
I gotta skedaddle a little bit early because I gotta go grocery shopping for my mom.
Just a real quick thing before class is over. Next movie's up is Full Metal Jacket. It's another Kubrick film. Remember we did The Shining, so it's another Kubrick.
Is it playing on Peacock? That's the only thing I have left is Peacock. All my other stuff's run out.
I know that they just added it to HBO Max. I know they just added it to that. So
Okay.
yeah, so if you have that, I know they just added the movie on that.
Do I have to pay for that? Well, I have to pay for HBO Max.
Well, it depends. If you have a AT&T phone plan, you get it for free.
Oh,
That's a true fact.
Yeah, so.
well, I'm not.
But yeah, HBO Max is $15 a month. Otherwise, I think.
Oh.
Did you say you were returning our papers today?
Yeah, I'm going to be getting those back to you today. So I'll send you guys an announcement when they're ready.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see you guys next time then.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.